Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of my bookshelf tour. I hope you enjoy this one. Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and I'm assuming most everybody knows what this book is, but it is a classics children's book, and it's about Alice who goes down a rabbit hole, and she comes into this world called Wonderland, and it's basically just about her adventures there and all the whimsical characters that she meets. This edition also has Through the Looking Glass. The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, and this is a book that takes place in India and follows the story of these twins who are brother and sister, and a lot of the conflicts that they come across and a lot of issues that they have with their mother. And it's also very much a book about class and class systems. The next two books are Christmas related. The first one is The Present by Joanna Lindsay, and the second is The Golden Ring by John Snyder. I honestly cannot remember the plots in these books. I just remember that they were very Christmas oriented, and I do remember enjoying them. Kringle by Tony Abbott. This is another Christmas related book, and it is a retelling of the Santa Claus myth. I have read this quite a few times. I typically like to read it around Christmas since it's obviously a retelling of Santa Claus. And I really just adore this cover. I love the flying reindeer on it. These next two books are products of the Harry Potter fan website called Mugglenet.com. And the first one is called What Will Happen in Harry Potter 7. And the second one is called Harry Potter Should Have Died. Controversial views from the #1 fan site. The first book was published before the final book came out, and then the second book was published after the final book came out. And I really enjoyed these. They're just fan theories compiled, basically. The first one, like the title says, fans questioning what will happen in that final book. And then the second book over here, Harry Potter Should Have Died, like this title suggests, the controversial views that Harry should have died, should he have lived, and then just other controversial issues among the fandom. And I really enjoyed these. They were just really fascinating. This book is called The New Adventures of Mary-Kate and Ashley, The Case of the Disappearing Princess by Lisa Eisenberg. And I loved Full House back in the 90s, and I really loved Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen in that show. And I remember buying this book at I think it was a Scholastic book fair, and the story was actually really cute. I don't remember too much about it, but I remember it being really cute. Shut up, you guys. I loved the Episode 1 Star Wars movie, and this book is basically Episode 1, called Star Wars Episode 1 Journal, told through Darth Mauls' perspective. It's just a little kiddie book, but I really liked it, and Darth Maul was one of my favorite characters in that movie. And this is by Jude Watson. The next batch of books come from the Star Wars Jedi Apprentice series. The first book is written by Dave Wolverton, but the rest in the series were written by Jude Watson. And these first three are The Rising Force, The Dark Rival, and The Hidden Past. Next, The Mark of the Crown, The Defenders of the Dead, and The Uncertain Path. The Captive Temple, The Day of Reckoning, and The Fight for Truth. And then the last one in the series that I collected was The Shattered Peace. And I didn't say it before, but the Jedi Apprentice books are basically pre-Star Wars with like a teenage Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I really loved these books. I thought they were really cute. Had a lot of great action in them, really great stories. I believe there were quite a few more in the series, but for some reason I stopped at this one. I would really love to go back and get the rest, though. These next two books are children's books. The first one is The Royal Diaries, Anastasia, The Last Grand Duchess, Russia, 1914. And then Dear America, Voyage on the Great Titanic, The Story of Margaret Ann Brady, RMS Titanic, 1912. I really loved these books. They were so great. One of my first gateways into historical fiction, I think. Anastasia, the movie novel. This is just basically the entirety of the cartoon in a novel format. And the cartoon is one of my favorite cartoons ever. Pretty much beaten out quite a few of the Disney cartoons. Titanic Crossing by Barbara Williams. This is a children's book that takes place on the Titanic about a boy and his family. The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is probably one of my favorites in children's literature. This is a book that takes place in a dystopian world where everything is just grayscale. And this boy named Jonas gets a calling to be the next giver. And the giver basically holds all the memories of the past. This is a duology, and they are both by Diane Ho. The first one is called Titanic, The Longest Night, and the second one is called Remembering the Titanic. I was so obsessed with these books. I pretty much got them right after the Titanic movie came out. I read these books on numerous occasions. If I was holding them up closer to the camera, you could tell that they're falling apart. I think I might have to tape up the first one. The cover is so flimsy. But these books are just basically told through multiple perspectives about different people on the Titanic, whether they're rich or poor. They're just so good, and I'm actually really wanting to read them again right now. Summer of Pearls by Mike Blakely. This is a book that one of my friends in middle school actually bought me for my birthday, and I initially was like, oh, this looks so stupid because the cover's kind of cheesy, but once I read it, I really enjoyed this. I can't remember too much about it. It's been quite a while since I read it, but it's about mining for pearls, I guess is how you can call it, and I believe it takes place in Texas, and it's actually a very, very good story. I had such low expectations for it, but it really exceeded my expectations. Next, Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Guys, you might hate me, but I don't think I've read this entire book. There were chunks that I do remember reading, but I think I lost interest in it for whatever reason. I think there were a few parts that I found a little bit slow, and I hate to say that since this is Anne Frank's diary, but I think I read this at too young of an age that I didn't really appreciate it at the time. So I think as an adult, I think if I went back and read it now, I think I'd enjoy it much more. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I don't remember particularly liking this book too much. I think I found this really slow and boring, but once again, I read this as a child, like in middle school, so I probably need to go back and read it as an adult. The next set of books are my Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine. I'm going to go quickly through them because I have about close to 30 of them. So to start off with, Welcome to Dead House, Stay Out of the Basement, Say Cheese and Die, and Say Cheese and Die was actually the very first one I bought. Let's Get Invisible, Be Careful What You Wish For, Piano Lessons Can Be Murder, One Day at Horrorland, Monster Blood 2, and Deep Trouble. I think Deep Trouble is the second book I ever remember buying in the Goosebumps series. I can't believe I remember that since I was so young at the time, but I can kind of tell which ones I bought early because the covers are so messed up. And One Day at Horrorland is actually one of my favorites, I think. Return of the Mummy, It Came From Beneath the Sink, Night of the Living Dummy Part 2, The Horror at Camp Jelly Jam, Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, A Shocker on Shock Street. These three, oh my god, these are some of my favorites. Some of the Goosebumps books can be incredibly stupid and kind of ridiculous, but these three, oh my god, I love them so much. The Haunted Mask Part 2, The Headless Ghost, Night of the Living Dummy Part 3, Egg Monsters from Mars, Say Cheese and Die Again, Ghost Camp. And I remember back when I read Egg Monsters from Mars, I remember that book making me hungry because the little monsters look like eggs. Beware the Snowman, How I Learned to Fly, The Curse of Camp Cold Lake. And the last in my Goosebump books, My Best Friend is Invisible, The Haunted School, Werewolf Skin. And there were quite a few more in the series after this, but I stopped here. This is kind of where I started my teenage years, and then I was like, Goosebumps are uncool. But I wish I would have continued to get them, because I don't even have the complete set. I think I just counted, I have like 27, I think. So that's it for this bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!